Hi, everyone. Welcome to Spill the Tea Radio, where we interview awesome singer-songwriters and those who influence their lives. Spill the Tea Radio explores the journey, creativity, and inspiration behind the songs. My next guest is a musician, artist, and creative entrepreneur out of St. Thomas, Ontario. He is the FCLMA's 2021 Pop Artist of the Year and 2022 Contemporary Singer-Songwriter of the Year. Born in Japan, raised in Canada, his music carefully draws influence from R&B, soul, funk, and jazz, and packages it all in an accessible pop format. He's played over 1,000 gigs from Halifax to Prince George to Mexico and has shared the stage with many of Canada's top talent. His debut album, New Flame, from June of 2022 is a diverse concept album and traverses the different stages of a romantic relationship from first spark to last billow of smoke. So, let's spill the tea with Justin Maki. Welcome, Justin.
Thanks for having me. You did your homework.
Did my homework and, got a little stuff from here and there. And
Yeah?
so it's really interesting. I'm really interested in going down the path of exploring some of the parts of that first album. I
Sure.
love that term from spark to less smoke. So it
hmm
sounds like there's the love and then the breakup along the way
hmm
somewhere.
Sure.
Let's talk about your musical background because your mother was a big influence for you. She was a songwriter herself and was on the verge of a record deal of her own. So,
hmm
how much of an influence was mom on your career?
I think she was a huge influence. I think, growing up, she had the aspiration to become like a full-time musician, artist, um, singer-songwriter, whatever you want to call it. But it just didn't work out. Her life kind of took more of a path of becoming a teacher. And so you know, I think she kind of, because she wished that for herself, she wanted to give that opportunity to me. And so she's, in a sense, been living vicariously through me for years now. But she was the one that at a very young age, when we were living in Japan, because I know that you mentioned that, she would take me out to like these dedicated karaoke facilities, and so we would have a private room, and we would sing our hearts out, and she would teach me harmonies in the
Mm.
context of these karaoke sessions, and we would go to a lot of parties, and there was a lot of music that was happening at these parties.
You have done some busking along the way in your career.
hmm
Tell us what the busking experience was like.
Yeah, it's a pretty fun experience. I enjoyed a great deal. Not to say that I'm primarily monetarily motivated. I think you have to be pretty crazy to get into music to be primarily monetarily motivated. Um, but I get a lot of joy out of taking requests, and being able to pull off those requests. Over the 19 years that I've been playing music and learning music and continuing to develop and grow as a musician, singer, guitarist, songwriter, um, I have amassed a pretty extensive repertoire of songs that I can play within the contemporary realm. And it's always fun to take requests, and if I know the songs, perfect. If I know the song or artist or that they're requesting, like absolutely 100%. But there's some times where maybe I would have heard the song before on the radio, or maybe I played it 7 years ago and I haven't played it in a while, and I can pull up the chords and I can kind of fake my way through it. That's also a lot of fun because it's a little risky. It's like it could go either way. Like, it could go really well. It could not go so well. And then I also do this thing. It's almost like a party trick in a way, where depending on the song, if I haven't really heard it before, um, and I don't know it, I can't really fake my way through it. What I'll do is I'll bring the song up on Spotify and I'll listen to it through my Bluetooth speaker because the speaker or sound system that I use has a Bluetooth component, and I'll play it and I'll learn the song on the spot, and then I'll play it to my best ability, and for the most part, it ends up going fairly well. Um, you know, you have to think 85, 90% of music that's out there is pretty simple. Like it has four
Four
chords
chords,
or
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
or like it has maybe six chords and it's like I have a developed enough ear that I can like listen to something and figure it out pretty quickly. And I have a pretty good ear for melody. So, if I can hear it, and melodies are typically tend to be pretty repetitive, right? So, if I can listen to it, I can fake my way through it, and do an okay job, especially if I have the chords in front of me and I have that the ability to kind of reference the lyrics and the chords at the same time.
You spent the first 11 years of your life in Japan. You were born in Japan and
Hmm.
you speak fluent Japanese.
Yes
Do
and
you
no.
do you freak
Yeah,
people out when you start speaking Japanese, especially to
absolutely.
somebody from Japan? Because you I mean you when you learn the language in the country, you end up speaking it without an accent.
I can definitely carry like a pretty solid conversation, um, with a Japanese, with a Japanese person, and potentially even fool them into thinking that I was born there, which I was. So
But
yeah,
do you freak people out when you start to speak Japanese to
absolutely,
them and
yeah,
they look at you and say like that the level of Japanese should not be coming out of that face.
yeah, for sure, for sure. Yeah, the thing with Japanese culture, right, is it's very purist. It's very purist. So their immigration policies are very tight. And so even being born there and living there for, and I'm just going to correct you, it's a total of 8 years. There was a bit of
Eight.
back and forth. So
Okay.
yeah, so I lived there for a total of 8 years. Um, and even though I spent so much time there and I was born there, I still don't have citizenship there. And that's just the way they work, and that's fine, whatever.
Mm.
Um, but it is certainly very surprising to, a Japanese person, um, to see somebody who looks like me talk like them, you know?
Yes.
Because the reason I mentioned they're so purist is because they're so purist, there's not a lot of white people that live in Japan, you know? Um, and when they do encounter a white person that speaks Japanese, it's typically it's colored with a Canadian or an American accent.
Right.
And so it almost sounds silly to them, you know, and they can spot that from a mile away.
Let's
Thank
get
you.
into one of the songs that Justin wrote. This song tells the story of inspiration and the refusal of a soul to let go of life.
Mhm.
Let's take a listen to singer-songwriter Justin Maki and his song, Teardrops from a Phoenix.
I thought I wouldn't make it as I drove with cautious speed. The frigid snowflakes pummeled me that night. Just minutes from home, I took a left-hand turn, and like that I saw my life flash before my eyes. A terrifying impact. I heard the crumple of the steel. My airbag exploded from my steering wheel, and I took a spin. Things would never be the same. I had a bright future ahead, and now face to face with death. Could this be it? No. Like a phoenix I will rise toward the never-ending skies, and with the teardrops from my eyes I will wash away my life that came before. I took a long look at the final door. There's so much more I feel called upon to say. They thought I was a goner as I lay soundly asleep. I couldn't make a peep or wave my arms. You see, after the car crash, the Reaper gripped me in his hands as the paramedics ran to me alarmed. I'm afraid he won't make it, they told my parents as they cried. His injuries are critical at best, but I knew I wasn't ready. I could hear every single word. Though I was bruised and I was burned, I'd rise again. Oh, I choose life. Like a phoenix I will rise toward the never-ending skies. And with the teardrops from my eyes, I will wash away my life that came before. I took a long look at the final door. There's so much more I feel called upon to say. Through the fire I became the flame. Why settle when you can be someone great? Why complain when you can be someone grateful? Oh, why stagnate when you can make a change? Why remain in the ashes when you can rise again, rise again, rise again? Oh, I choose life. Like a phoenix I will rise toward the never-ending skies. And with the teardrops from my eyes, I will wash away my life that came before. I took a long look at the final door. There's so much more I feel called upon to say. Through the fire I became the flame. And if I had to, I'd do it again.
That was Teardrops from a Phoenix by Justin Maki. Justin, tell us about the song. What was the song about, and what was the inspiration to write it?
Sure. So the song is basically inspired by the life of this man named Steve Bottrell. So Steve, many years ago, he was involved in a nearly fatal car accident. It left him in a coma, and so basically he was driving one wintry evening, and he took a left-hand turn, and I guess the visibility was poor, and so a car basically came and T-boned him, and he nearly died. He was like in his early 20s, and so he was in the hospital, and the story goes that he was in a coma, he was in the hospital, and he couldn't blink, he couldn't talk, he couldn't move a muscle, but somehow he could hear what was going on in the hospital room, and he could hear the conversations that were taking place. And the conversation that was taking place while he was in this coma between his parents and the doctors and nurses were that the doctors and nurses recommended that they take him off of this life-sustaining machine because they thought for sure that there was no chance that he was going to make it. And obviously, like, the parents were, in denial about that. They were refusing it. They wanted to have a little more time. And so I guess in the process of kind of experiencing this situation just auditorily, right? A single tear fell from Steve's eye. And somehow, I don't exactly know how the dynamic played out, but somehow he ended up waking up from this coma. They ended up deciding to give him a bit more time, and he ended up waking up from this coma. And he certainly wasn't the same person as he was prior to the accident, but he went on to, write a book and, tour across Canada just as a motivational speaker, speaking about, overcoming seemingly impossible odds.
How do people find out more about you, Justin? What's the website? What are the socials where they can go and find out more about your music, where you're gigging, and just more information about you?
Sure. Yeah, I'll give you the spiel. So my website is justinmakimusic.ca. So the Maki is spelled Maki, just like the sushi roll. That way you never forget it. So we got justinmakimusic.ca, and then all of my socials you can find at the tag at Justin Maki Music. So I'm pretty active on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok. I also have an email list. If you want to subscribe to the email list, feel free to do that on my website. It's pretty easy to do so. You can find my shows on my website. They're all listed on the front page there. If you want to check out my music, it's on Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music, wherever you listen to music. And some of the stuff that's not up on there, you can find on my music page on my website as well. And yeah, that's where you can find me. And either in real life IRL, as the kids these days like to say, or online.
We've been in conversation with Justin Maki. Justin, thanks for being with us.
Thank you so much.